In the world of beverages, few names stand out, and Coca-Cola is one of them. It started small, made by a curious pharmacist, but soon became a big deal worldwide. Yet there's a side to Coca-Cola that's not so sunny. Behind its bubbly image hides a story full of drama and secrets. This is a dig into the surprising and sometimes unsettling past of Coca-Cola. Here's the origins of Coca-Cola. In the late 19th century, amidst the post-Civil War Reconstruction era, John Pemberton, a pharmacist from Atlanta, Georgia, sought to create a medicinal tonic. His concoction, initially called Pemberton's French wine coca, was formulated with coca leaves and cola nuts, originally intended to alleviate ailments ranging from headaches to morphine addiction. However, this mixture laid the groundwork for what would become one of the most iconic beverages in history. Pemberton's tonic underwent a transformation when prohibition laws swept across the United States in the early 20th century. To comply with the ban on alcohol, Pemberton removed the wine from his formula and replaced it with sugar syrup, creating the non-alcoholic version of his concoction. Thus, Coca-Cola was born in 1886, marketed as a temperance drink, and touted for its stimulating and refreshing qualities. His bookkeeper, Frank Robinson, chose the name for the drink and penned it in the following script that became the Coca-Cola trademark. Pemberton originally touted his drink as a tonic for most common ailments, basing it on cocaine from the coca leaf and caffeine-rich extracts of the Lola nuts. The cocaine was, however, removed from Coca-Cola's formula in about 1903. Pemberton and his partners spent around $74 in advertising their unique beverage and made only $50 in sales. The combined pressure of poor business and ill health led Pemberton to sell 2/3 of his business in early 1888. Dr. Pemberton, who died 3 years earlier, was never to know the enormous success his invention would have in the coming century. The beverage quickly gained popularity with its distinct caramel hue and effervescent taste captivating consumers. As demand surged, Coca-Cola's business expanded beyond Atlanta, propelling it onto the national stage. Under the leadership of Asa Candler, who acquired the company in 1888. In 1891, Asa Griggs Candler had secured complete ownership of the business for a total cash outlay of $2,300 and the exchange of some proprietary rights, and he incorporated the Coca-Cola Company the following year. The trademark Coca-Cola was registered with the U.S. Patent Office in 1893. Using aggressive marketing campaigns and strategic distribution networks, he propelled Coca-Cola to unprecedented success. Under Candler's leadership, which spanned a 26-year period, the Coca-Cola Company grew quickly. Between 1888 and 1907, the factory and offices of the business were moved to 8 different buildings in order to keep up with the company's growth and expansion. As head of the company, Candler was most concerned with the quality and promotion of his product. He was particularly concerned with production of the syrup, which was boiled in kettles over a furnace and stirred by hand with large wooden paddles. He improved Pemberton's formula with the help of a chemist, a pharmacist, and a prescriptionist. But behind Coca-Cola's meteoric rise lies a darker narrative, one that is intertwined with exploitation and controversy. Major to its early success was the inclusion of coca leaves, a primary source of cocaine. It infused the beverage with a stimulating kick courtesy of cocaine. In 1901, responding to complaints about the presence of minute amounts of cocaine in the Coca-Cola syrup, Candler devised the means to remove all traces of the substance. The cocaine content was taken out in 1904. By 1905, the syrup was completely free of cocaine. Coke was available in Germany prior to the war, but its survival there during the war years was due to a man named Max Keith, who kept the company going even when there was little Coca-Cola syrup available. Keith developed his own soft drink using ingredients available to him and called his beverage Fanta. By selling this beverage, he kept the enterprise intact until after the war. When the war was over, the company continued to market Fanta. By 1944, the Coca-Cola Company had sold 1 billion gallons of syrup. By 1953, 2 billion gallons had been sold, and by 1969, the company had sold 6 billion gallons. Echoes of exploitation followed them through history. Labor disputes tainted the company's early years, with reports of harsh working conditions and anti-union sentiments. Allegations of complicity in human rights violations surfaced in countries where Coca-Cola operated, particularly in Colombia and Guatemala. Workers' rights advocates criticized the mistreatment of laborers and the suppression of disagreement, staining the company's image. Moreover, Coca-Cola's marketing tactics have often gained controversy. From its early days, the company targeted vulnerable populations, including children, with aggressive advertising campaigns. The allure of Coca-Cola became synonymous with American culture, forcing itself into society. However, it is often argued that this marketing method has contributed to health concerns, particularly regarding the rise of obesity and diabetes. Environmental degradation further mars Coca-Cola's legacy. Accusations of water depletion and pollution have plagued the company, especially in regions where water scarcity is a pressing issue. In India, for instance, Coca-Cola's bottling plants faced backlash for exacerbating water shortages in local communities. Additionally, the proliferation of plastic waste from Coca-Cola's packaging has fueled environmental concerns. Despite pledges to increase recycling efforts and reduce plastic usage, the company continues to grapple with the consequences of its production practices. The veil of corporate responsibility often obscures the true impact of Coca-Cola's operations. While the company has implemented initiatives to address social and environmental issues, it has been argued that these efforts fall short of meaningful change. Calls for transparency and accountability echo across various advocacy groups and civil society organizations, urging Coca-Cola to confront its past and present actions. Throughout its history, Coca-Cola faced accusations of labor abuses, including anti-union activities and allegations of complicity in human rights violations in countries like Colombia and Guatemala. Moreover, the company's aggressive marketing tactics targeting children and vulnerable populations have drawn criticism from health advocates and policymakers worldwide. Furthermore, Coca-Cola's environmental footprint has raised concerns, with allegations of water depletion, pollution, and plastic waste contributing to ecological degradation. Despite pledges to address these issues, Coca-Cola continues to face scrutiny over its sustainability practices and corporate responsibility. Despite the seemingly endless string of challenges the companies faced in the late 1990s, Coca-Cola was also moving forward with new initiatives. In February 1999, the company announced plans to launch its first bottled water brand in North America. Dasani was described as a purified, non-carbonated water enhanced with minerals. Whether we drink it or not, we all know it. It's one of the most successful brands in history, and that's in no small part because of their exceptional marketing over the last century. But in 1985, they were losing market share to PepsiCo, and all the data suggested it was because people preferred the taste. Both Pepsi and Coke had done blind taste tests to get the results, and it seemed clear that Pepsi had the edge. So in 1985, Coke changed their formula. New Coke appeared, and they had the science to back it up. After extensive research and testing, New Coke dominated the blind taste tests, but the data caused an assumption. In the end, that's not how things panned out. Coke had produced an empirically better product, but the backlash was huge, and sales plummeted. People hated New Coke, and it had nothing to do with the taste. They lost sight of originally established brand. Coke was a household name, a constant in people's lives, so much so that even if you didn't drink it, Coke signified friendship, family, and good times. And by changing their formula, consumers over multiple generations seemed to feel betrayed. The backlash became so big, Coke eventually reverted to their original formula. They kept New Coke on the shelves, thinking the better taste would eventually win the crowd over. But in actuality, New Coke slowly died and faded into obscurity. In fact, the reintroduction of Classic Coke increased their market share as people flocked back to the product out of a shared history and familiarity, which in turn proved the data-driven assumption wrong and demonstrated the power of consistently staying true to your brand's core essence. Why do people buy into it? It's because people believe in what the brand stands for and become loyal to it by being part of the brand's story over time. That's why everyone loved Coke, not because it was the best tasting drink out there. The story of Coca-Cola is one of contradictions and complexities, blending innovation and ingenuity with controversy and criticism. From its humble origins as a medicinal tonic to its status as a global beverage giant, Coca-Cola's history reflects the intricacies of capitalism and the power of branding.